Today, the Social Security Administration sent out monthly benefit checks to millions of Americans, and Joe Biden and Kevin McCarthy have reached an agreement on debt, but that does not mean all Social Security payments are safe. Officials say that the payments for later this month and July are still at risk of being delayed. Now, Social Security recipients have some good news now that the House of Representatives has passed a bill to raise the debt ceiling and thereby lowering the risk that Social Security payments could be delayed. The Senate is expected to approve the bill as very soon. And Joe Biden is just expected to sign into law. Even if there is an impasse this week, economists don't see the sort of prolonged Washington impasse that would cause the most serious consequence. Now, while these worries are eased, Social Security beneficiaries can now focus on the next payment, which begins today. Some recipients, specifically those receiving SSI, will get the two payments this month. And according to the Social Security Administration, SSI beneficiaries will receive one check on June 1st and another on June 30th because of the quirk in the payment schedule. SSI beneficiaries get their payments in March, June, September, and December, while no payments are deposited in January, April, July, and October. The extra payment in June can be considered in advance for the next month. But if you don't receive your payment on the expected date, the SSA advises allowing 3 additional mailing days before contacting the agency. If you receive a direct deposit, you can expect to receive your payment, everybody, on the scheduled date, but availability of the funds may depend on your bank as well. In 2023, the federal SSI benefit rate is $914 for an individual and $1,300 for a couple. However, some states supplement the federal SSI benefit with additional payments, which makes the total SSI benefit even higher. The states that do not send a payment to SSI recipients include Arizona, Arkansas, Mississippi, and North Dakota. But as the Biden-McCarthy plan crawls through the congressional process, uncertainty remains about the economy's future. If the deal is not approved quickly, there are some of the likely scenarios. Most likely, Social Security recipients are scheduled to get their benefits this month, starting later this month as well. Older recipients and SSI beneficiaries get benefits at the start of the month too. Other retirees get their payments on a schedule later each month that depend on their date of birth. And even the director of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security told Yahoo News, if this deal falls through or is delayed and a government default happens, it could impact those that Social Security beneficiaries who are supposed to receive payments after the default date are supposed to. Some Republican lawmakers have urged the government to set up a system where Social Security payments will be a priority as money comes into the Treasury, but Yellen said that prioritizing that would be difficult. A proposal by Representative Tim McClintock would actually create several tiers of payments, and Yellen called it an incredibly risky and dangerous idea, and noted that it has never been tried before. Deposit dates for a fourth stimulus check are here. Deposit dates are being announced, and as part of the prices of gas stations and gas going increasingly fast, and gas going very high in pretty much everywhere, and the supermarkets rising their cost, well, lawmakers are taking action this year. Because these payments will be worth as much as $3,000. And Americans continue to feel the pain of soaring inflation. It's why several state governments are offering their own tax filers some relief in the form of stimulus and tax refunds. So while inflation has trickled down in recent months, following the record high levels not seen since the 80s, consumers are still experiencing some financial difficulties. Well, folks, here is the reason why. It's because the state of Massachusetts has announced that it will be providing eligible taxpayers with a refund that amounts to 14% of their personal income tax. And according to the state law, the state must return to taxpayers a portion of excess state revenue. If tax revenue collections exceed the annual tax, well, the revenue cap is going to be pretty much at insurmountable levels. But here's what we need to know about the fourth stimulus check. The state began sending out the refunds in November. Eligible taxpayers that are receiving the refund through direct deposit or check sent in the mail. And those who have not yet filed their 21 tax returns have until September 15 to do so. There will be many more Americans getting a major check worth more than $3,000. It's been a few months since Alaska has been sending out the cash from its permanent fund dividend that had paid out to a lot of people in the state. Now, back in 2022, these checks were pretty much worth $4,000, and the exact date of when you get the money is sent is just deposited and depends on when applications are approved. Because Alaska's permanent fund dividend is continuing to accept applications through March 31st, and residents have until February 28th to file an application for property tax rebates as part of our state's Anchor benefit program. An estimated 2 million households in the Garden State are eligible for Anchor, which stands for Affordable New Jersey Community Homeowners. Now, homeowners who earn up to 150 grand will receive $1,500 in property tax, and they're also going to get a lot more money in stimulus payments. And also, another state like Connecticut, one of those northern states, you will begin issuing the payments from its premium pay program, or we call it Triple P. In the next 5 to 6 weeks, people will get stimulus $1,000 between March 1st and $1,000 between March 11th. Applicants who applied by October will receive anywhere from, let's see, $200 to $1,000, with the full-time essential workers getting a lot of money. Because what we know for sure is that applicants will get that cash. And even in the state of Maine, Revenue Service has sent $5,000 checks worth around $450. And that was by January 31st. So that was about 2 weeks ago, and now people can get even more money. Because now the Director of Communications for the state of Maine has said there are no delays, and they're anticipating people to get stimulus very fast, very quick, and very efficiently. That's a good thing to know. Even in Michigan, the Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Democratic legislators recently announced a proposed plan that would send $180 inflation relief checks to people who need it the most. This is going to go to the people of Maine and people of Michigan, and you'll be getting a lot of stimulus. Even if you're a married taxpayer filing separately, you will just receive $90 each. We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, and as well as the SSA benefits. So we have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus payment that you need to know. It's about to happen. The new inflation relief checks are being sent out, and it's being approved right now for the millions of low-income households. Right now, Joe Biden is just showing support for another recurring stimulus payment. As part of the American Rescue Plan, though, he says that there could be more stimulus in 2023. Because during his second State of the Union address, Joe Biden puts a focus on children, with initiatives that would introduce universal pre-K and things like that. Residents of Washington now have a new annual tax credit available to them. It could be worth up to $200. And this month, the Washington State Department of Revenue launched a Working Families Tax Credit, which everybody will get a stimulus in that part. The tax credit is also targeted to the low-moderate income households to provide financial stability. Up to 400 grand is eligible for people to get stimulus cash, and the credit is modeled after the federal Earned Income Tax Credit program. It's considered one of the best tools for reducing poverty, and even the state officials are excited to send this out. So you'll be getting that stimulus cash in no time, folks. Yes, that's right. Joe Biden can send it out in a matter of seconds. But do you believe that he will get it done faster?
Thank you very much. Let me begin the questioning and give the mic over to Senator Cassidy, and we'll go around the table. As I mentioned earlier, in my state, in our largest hospital, we have seen a huge expenditure of $125 million for traveling nurses at a time when we have more young people who want to become nurses but can't accommodate them in our nursing schools. Dr. Herbert, is that in fact just a Vermont problem, or is that a Maine problem? Is that a national